And so Jem can instantly tell her little sister's crying. I'll do it. But just remember your promise to me. Of course. Now, be gone with you. So Ginny stands up and walks back. And again, when she turns and starts walking towards where Jem is floating, standing, existing, their eyes lock for a split second. Her eye gets really big. She looks down and keeps going like nothing ever happened. Before Jem could really think to anything else, she feels kind of her disembodied spirit being pulled back up the stairs as she came down. She's basically flying at this point. It goes into the sky above the ruins, and she feels herself turn and flying through the air at an incredible rate of speed. The warm, she can feel the wind, but it's not deafening, like a deafening roar or anything. She can see her village down below, all the different people working and things like that. And then she sees the village come and go, and the landscape pass underneath her. And eventually she makes several different black specks, and she makes out several black specks on the horizon. And eventually she settles down, seeing herself and her hunting party next to her father as well. And she feels herself kind of inhabit her body again. She's back in her body, but still in this weird dream thing. And then she remembers she's on a hunting expedition, her first as an official hunter, kind of a rite of passage as one of her clan members. Let's get started. Okay, so hi there, my name is Kenneth, and I'm the Lone Dice Guy. Thank you so much for watching my solo Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure. Normally, I'm playing as Monk Ming Zhao, of the Order of the Dragon, but today I'm playing as Jem Lovec, one of his many companions. And so we're kind of exploring her backstory a little bit, what happened, and who knows what's going on. So right now, Jem's in this weird dream / memory prism, who knows what it is, she's in something where she's experiencing a very particular and important day in her history. And so as she's going through that, we've established that Ginny, her little sister, a necromancer that we've met in battle before, seems to be learning her magic from some disembodied weird voice. Who knows? Who knows indeed. And this disembodied voice is teaching her necromancy. And Ginny doesn't even know that. And of course, that goes against everything her family believes, and not only the family, but maybe even the culture at large is rather against necromancy. And so she's now back with her hunting party. And again, she's not really in control of her. She can feel herself moving, but she's more watching what's going on. And so the hunting party she's in, they're hunting a rather large reptilian creature in the area that the scouts have spotted. They need to get rid of it, and this is just a great opportunity for her and a couple of her other classmates who also have turned 17 in this last month to go out and complete this hunt. All right, so as always, we're starting a new scene. Jem is her disembodied voice, her spirit is now back kind of in her body, quote unquote, and we're going on this hunting expedition, this mini hunting expedition. So, same as always, roll our dice. If it is because chaos rank, we're going to put it up to 6, because that's been kind of crazy. If it's more than 6, it's an altered or it's fine, no problem. If it's 7 or greater, if it's 6 or less, something changes. So rolled a 2. That means that our scene has been altered. It's an interrupt scene. It's been changed. And here's the scene set up. That Jem is going on a hunting expedition with her father and several other members of her clan as a coming of age kind of ceremony. At least she's remembering herself doing this. We rolled an interrupt, so let's roll our random events. So first things first, we look at the event focus. What is it? So that's a 63. That's going to be a PC negative. Okay, that kind of fits with the whole something bad happening on this day. Okay. Well, what happens? 13. Decrease. Uh-oh. Oh no, I don't like where this is going. Decrease what? PC negative decrease. And 18, decrease the intellectual. What does that mean? Decrease the intellectual. Okay, I don't do this very often. I haven't done this yet. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to re-roll that second one. Because I can't, I'm racking my brain. I don't know what that means. The intellectual doesn't really fit in with anything. I know. Am I cheating? Maybe, but whatever. Moving on. Second, we're going to re-roll that second roll again, just because I'm not sure what it means. Decrease something. 23. That may be better. Decrease balance. Okay. Much better. I think I can work with that. Decrease balance. Oh, okay. I got it. I know what's happening. So, okay, they're on this hunting expedition. They've been out there for like maybe 6, 7, 8 hours now at this point. They knew they were going to be out there for a long day. They've refilled several times in different oases around the area with water, and finally, they've got sight of their quarry. And so it's Jem and 2 other 17-year-olds, 2 boys, who are tasked by their parents, by their fathers, to kill that giant lizard. And it's a pretty hefty lizard. Let me look it up real quick. Yeah, it's a large beast. So they're tasked with killing it. That's their orientation thing. So really quickly, let's do that. So we'll do 2d20s. Orange is the lizard, yellow is Jem's crew, her and the 2 others. All right. Orange lizard goes first. But they are. It doesn't know they're there. They're sneaking up on it, so it doesn't act its first turn. It's gonna be Jem's turn. She's gonna hold her bow and fire, and the other boys are gonna go for it as well. 18. Yeah, that definitely is gonna hit its armor class. Nice. 7 plus 3 equals 10. So definitely, she's gonna fire. They're gonna fire their bows, and very quickly they dispatch the beast. No problem whatsoever. In fact, they feel almost like, it's kind of too easy. But all of their fathers assure them, like, hey, if that creature had turned around to go after you, it has a really nasty bite with some very venomous fangs inside of it. So it would have been, they're very glad that that's how it went. It was a textbook great first hunt. And so they dress the lizard, taking claws, and they slowly, very carefully remove the poisonous fangs and drain some of the venom into vials. Like, they just do the work. And this is something that the 17-year-olds have done many, many times before. They may not have been out. They may not have killed the beast before, but they've been on these hunts where they're responsible for dressing and learning how to do that. So every hunter has like the part of the creature they're going after, and they just tear it apart. They basically leave nothing behind. They take the bones, they cut out the flesh to cook and eat later. Every part of the animal is used, right? And so they head back to the village. Now, we rolled decrease balance, and so in my head, as a PC negative, I think the balance of Jem's like psyche or person, like she's about to change the person dramatically. I'm going to roll in the fate chart something, and I think it's a near sure thing. So yeah, there's of course, 82. Ooh, actually it was very close to not being. Wow. So 82, it's a yes. Okay. Jem, remember, she's experiencing this through her memories, and she still feels things happening, and she can feel her heartbeat get raise a little bit. Why? And it isn't just her. She looks around and sees that other members of the hunting party have grown quiet and a little more than a little tense. And even the 17-year-old, the 2 boys next to her, the other 17-year-olds, even they're all 3 of them looking at each other like, what's going on? The mood has changed from jovial and exciting to stressful. What's happening? Now, Jem, the inside voice of her, the inner voice of her, can hear a couple of the men whispering next to her. And she kind of like tunes her hearing because she's the older version of her can do this. And so she tunes her hearing a little bit to hear them whispering. Do you feel that? Yeah, I do. That's not normal. No, it's not. Is it undead? No, it's not that. It's something else, something different. Yeah, it's alive. Magic? Lots of it. A ton. Coming from the village? Yeah. What do we do with the kids? Don't alarm them. Don't freak them out. Something isn't right. A third parent, the third father. Hey guys, wait, I'm sensing something else. What? Something demonic. It's not from this plane. Devilish. Evil. Do you feel it too? Yeah. So at that point, Jem looks over and sees her father has a look of constraint on his face. He's clearly stressed. But whenever he sees Jem kind of lock eyes with him, he immediately changes. He goes. He's not trying to. It's not overly fake, but he forces himself to look relaxed. And Jem can feel her body relax too. So I guess in her mind, she puts two and two together. Okay, so that worked. So whenever I was 17, that worked on me to help me calm down. But her more mature mind is going, nope, something's wrong. Something is very, very wrong. After several hours walk, by this point it is now nighttime. The sun has gone down. They've all switched to their cloaks and things as they're dragging the carcass parts in the sand on different little sleds they've brought in the sand. They camp at night because they're still several hours away from the village, and walking at night in the desert is extremely dangerous. So they just said, hunker down. We'll get there in the morning. As they're setting up the campsite, the teenager, the fathers are building the fire, and the teenagers are setting up the two or three tents. Jem hears her father whispering to the other men, "We can't stay here. This is a very bad idea. We need to keep going. Who knows what is happening at the village right now, but don't you feel that?" "Yes, I do. Something's very, very wrong. But it's dangerous, extremely dangerous to travel at night." And he glances over at the three 17-year-olds. "I'm afraid of what we might be stepping into. I don't want to expose what's there to them. I understand your fear, but we have wives and other children there." "Yeah, I agree. I have a proposal." This is the third father. "Let's leave them here for tonight. When they go to bed, we'll head out. We can move much faster if it's just us. We'll be back by morning. Hopefully, nothing's wrong and we're all just imagining this." "Agreed. I like that idea." "Hold on. Leave them in come on. In the middle of the desert, in the middle of the night. That's foolish." "They've been trained for this. They can handle that." "Fine. We'll do that. As soon as they're asleep, we'll head out." "Good. Hand me that pan. I'll cook dinner." And so they get to work. And Jem, again, can tell that her 17-year-old self didn't hear this. This is part of her. She's able to hear this as part of maybe her training later on, who knows. And so the rest happens exactly as Jem expects it to. They make the three teenagers at this point have eaten dinner. They're celebrating in their accomplishment. But again, there's still a general a feeling of unease about the camp. Finally, it's time to go to bed, and the three teenagers go to their tents, and the parents say, "Oh, well, we're going to stay up late, keep watch. We'll wake you up whenever it's time." Again, she feels her spirit separate out again. And so she sees herself climb into the tent and close it. Then she turns to see the three fathers kind of nod to each other. And one begins to silently weave his hands in the air, and magic a magic circle kind of forms around him on the floor, and the magic circle extends to the edge of the camp, and then it settles into the sand and then disappears. And she recognizes it immediately as an alarm spell. She knows that spell herself. And so they nod at each other, and they pick up their weapons, and they head out. They walk at first, and then she's following along too, a little bit floating again. And then once they get about 100 yards away from the tents, they bolt. And they're running way faster than Jem knew they could run. And they bolt back for the village. So 20, 30 minutes later, they are, they're still running. They're not stopping. And Jem at this point is like, whoa, they're actually doing this. Wow. So about 2.5, 3 hours later, they arrive. They crest the hill over the village. And they are, Jem looks at them first because she didn't know what's going on. And then when Jem gets to the top of the hill, she sees it too. The entire village below is awash in purplish black light. And occasionally in between buildings, you'll see black, shadowy, inky tendrils floating up into the sky like this. There's not a soul in sight, but these tendrils of whatever energy, black inkness, are waving up out of the ground, and the whole area is bathed in this purple, black light, ethereal glow. And Jem can feel fear rising in her disembodied spirit. And she looks over and sees looks of horror, abject horror, on the faces of all three men, except her father. Her father, it's still a horrified look, but she can see him clenching his teeth. She can tell anger is welling within him. And then she thinks for a second. She doesn't remember any of this. Why? Why doesn't she remember this? Remember the thing we said was decreased balance. In my mind, I'm thinking that's like the balance of what happened versus what she remembers, right? Something is going to alter her memories in a little bit, I think. Or something's going to happen. And so the other two men instinctively just run forward. And Jem's father's, no, wait! They don't listen. They're thinking of their families. And when they cross into the ethereal purple light, they just are swamped by these black tendrils. They're not tentacles, but these black tendrils of necrotic energy. And they just swarm them, surround them, and the next thing, the bodies are just absorbed down into the ground. And then the tendrils disperse and they're gone. And Jem sees her father. At that point, anger kind of fades away, and now he's got horror. Now his face is replaced with some horror. And he takes it 2 steps back. And he realizes, he says, whispers very quietly, I can't do this. And he runs back to the way he came. And as he's again, he runs for a really long time. Jim's kind of surprised how far he can run. So in the end, another 2.5 hours pass or so. And when they get back to the camp, it's now 3:30-ish in the morning, right? Like the pitch black of the night. The fire at that point is died down to a couple embers. And of course, the first thing Jem's spirit knows is that the alarm spell is faded. It's no longer there, which means the caster has died. Fate chart. I'm going to ask a question, and I'll tell you what it is in a moment. Oh no. So a 36 is a yes. Okay, so Jem sees her father run to the camp because obviously he notices as well that the alarm spell isn't there, and he runs and just literally throws open Jem's tent, and Jem peeks her head around her father's body to see, or father's shoulder to see her laying there, and she sits up. Father, what is it? It's late. And you see him just, just relief. But then he looks over and he sees the other two. He can see them through the glow of the camp, the embers. And he sees it. The tents have caved in, torn. Whatever creature took them, it was quick, efficient, and brutal. The two other 17-year-olds never stood a chance. And he can see that there's blood trails leading off into the desert. It was luck. Sheer luck that his daughter wasn't next. And so he looks at her, and Jem slowly climbs out and sees the other two tents, and her eyes, and she starts freaking out. I mean, she's a 17-year-old girl. She starts freaking out, and her father's trying to calm her down. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. And he grabs her head like this to kind of like help her focus, and yes, calm down. Listen to me. Something terrible has happened. Yeah, and she kind of tries to turn towards the tent, and he goes, no, look at me. Something terrible has happened, and it's not them. That's terrible too. But listen to me. Something has happened at the village. I need you to find your sister. And your mother as well. I need you to find your sister and your mother. Please. Okay. I can do that, yes. Quickly get dressed. Yes. And so Jem quickly puts on her puts on her regular clothes and whatever. And he even says, "Leave the tent, leave the camping stuff. Just take just what you need." They refill canteens at a nearby oasis really quick, and they're off. The whole time, Jem is she's back into her body again. Feels like she's moving, but not really. It's happening for her. And she wants to ask her. She feels herself wanting to ask, "What's going on?" But she never does. And she can feel her heartbeat. Vroom, 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 vroom. And it's not because they're running. It is a fear. She doesn't understand what's going on. At least she can tell that her 17-year-old self doesn't understand what's going on. And there's real palpable fear. But her 25-year-old self is going, "Oh my gosh, this is really bad." Again, they get back to the village about dawn. The sun's just about to crest over the hill. And when Jem sees the glowing black light, purple light, and all the black tendrils coming up out of the ground, she drops to her knees and she's she's freaking out now again. But again, her father gets in front of her, kind of grabs her right here and says, "Listen very carefully. Jem, listen." And she kind of snaps out of it a little bit. "Do not step foot into the light. I'm going to go around this way. You go around that way. Look for your mother and your sister. Do you understand?" Jem. And he shakes. He not shakes, but he quickly a firm, "Do you understand?" Yes, I do. Meet me on the other side of the village. Do not step in the light, Jem. Whatever you do not step in the light. Okay, Father. And so they go back their ways. All right, here's my question. Fate chart. Whoa. Okay. uh, okay. I don't know how to deal with that. So oftentimes whenever I ask questions and I don't tell them, it's because I'm still trying to figure it out in my head as well. But in this case, I just don't know how to interpret that. Okay, I've got an idea. So Jem is walking around the edge of the light of the village. She's staying out of the light, but she's staying a little bit further away. She doesn't even get near it. And as she's walking around, she kind of gets to the side of the village where her family house is, and she's looking, trying to look through the eerie light. As the sun comes up, the light kind of gets mixed in with the light of the sun, but it's still very eerie and gross, and it makes her just skin crawl. She sees her family home, but she doesn't see anyone around. So she's like, what do I do now? So she keeps circumventing the village. Eventually, she gets to the other side. And that's when she sees her father walking towards her along the edge of the light as well. And when he is walking closer to her, he makes one misstep. He's on the edge of a dune, of a sand dune. One misstep. The question I asked was, does Jem's father make it out of this? Thinking that maybe she had some family members left. And the answer, I got a 90, which is an extreme no. Because I even said it was very likely. It's an extreme no. Jem sees her father and one misstep. And he slides down a dune. He's scrambling. He knows that at the end of halfway at the bottom, through the bottom of this dune, is kind of a wall of this purple black light that he saw the other two fathers step into. And he is clawing at the sand, trying to stop his descent down the dune wall. And it's just there's nothing to grab onto. It's sand. And at that last fragment of a second, he looks at his daughter. And for a moment that freezes in Jem's mind, where her father and her look at each other what seems like an eternity. He falls into the black light, and he immediately gets up and clambers to get out, but it's just too late. The black tendrils reach out, grab his ankle, and pull him back into the light, where more latch onto him. And as he's screaming with the last breath of his lungs, he screams, "Find your sister! Find your mother! Run!" And then he's pulled into the earth. And that is where we will finish our session today. So, wow. It's getting a little bit depressing, but decreased balance. Obviously, I would become slightly imbalanced if I saw my whole village get slaughtered. Who knows what's happening? I still don't know yet. So, again, we're making this up as we go along. So, thank you so much for watching. Please click like, subscribe, share this video, do all the dumb YouTube stuff. Stick around for more. Next week is, I think we're going to get some answers about what happened. So, stay tuned. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, the Lone Dice Guy. You have a great day. See you in the next one. God bless.